What is up, my peeps? This is my new monstrosity. NK250 Taro GP Dione Flasher Taurus 150 Itsy Bitsy 150cc engine. I have never forgotten the humiliation the warrior faced upon defeat. Unfortunately, it had to be laying down to rest. It is a dawn of a new era. No longer shall tiny boxers intimidate me on the road. It is an era of a new kind of power. Actual power. True power. Over 650cc level kind.
It's way too powerful, my friend. So much power.
Alright, enough shenanigans. Welcome back to yet another amazing video. Please consider subscribing. We're almost at 1 million subs. Thank you very much. Cheesy as that intro may have been, no cap, this bike is truly amazing. Power alone is enough to make you sacrifice your life and your family to get this thing. The Yamaha Xt660R, a marvelous EFI liquid-cooled 659cc surprisingly single-cylinder 4-stroke engine with a modest 48 horsepower. It is among the heavier bikes in its class, weighing at 171 dry and 181 wet. We shall come back to this later. I was afraid 48 horsepower wasn't enough, but boy was I wrong. The bike is beyond what I was used to, like miles beyond. It pulls like a beast regardless of what speed you're at. The only reason the first gear doesn't throw up the front tire is probably because of its weight. But if you want, it does no problem. I'm really afraid of blowing up the engine on this one, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of wheelies yet. I have done 155 km per hour so far. Sweet spot for the bike is around 130 km per hour. It will always get there regardless of the gradient. It completely ignores topography. I weigh 80 kg and carried my friend and trusty mechanic Robert, who weighs around 86. I always got to 130 no problem. The main reason that I don't is usually because of traffic. So long as the road is clear, it will accelerate with the same power to 148 before it starts accelerating relatively slower, but not by much. By the time you hit these speeds, you are now fighting against both wind and power from the bike. This is a huge negative about the bike. That wind pushback is a lot. You have to use quite a bit of strength to hold on.
Kio? Imetoka? What the? Imetoka saa ngapi?
Sahi tu.
Iko hapa karibu kweli? What the fuck?
Hadi helmet karibu itoke.
Acha nikaitafute. Mwambie huyo Kaluni. Tumeenda pole pole. God damn it. God damn it. God damn it. Umezima? Ai ai ai. Nitakupatia yangu kidogo. Too much power. That was interesting.
Show them up.
Yeah.
Can we see? I don't know if you can see. Yeah? It actually puts so much strain on my back, regardless of the neutral sitting position of the bike, except for the legs, that is. Your knees bend quite a lot. The leg positioning really sucks. I don't understand why. There's this bend to the knee. Even the pillion, it's actually worse for the pillion than me. Like the Haojin Ori has a much better sitting posture for the legs than this one. Although this one for sitting is just as neutral as always. I haven't had time, but I'm definitely going to get a windshield. I can't emphasize enough how much you will need one if you want to ride long distances on this thing. So I've turned off the engine so that you may listen to what I'm going to say. There's a hill approaching. That hill with the Ori, you have to actually tackle it with gear 1. With this one, even carrying a pillion that is basically 90 kilos and I'm like 78. With this bike it does with just the second gear. I'm sure the third one can, but I mostly prefer the second. The suspensions are freaking amazing. I had my doubts, but this is an enduro, which I thought was weird at first, but it is. Especially when you ride relatively smoothly. They're very, very effective. When you try to ride faster, they actually become pretty stiff. I'm not sure if I need new seals cause mine are leaking. I'll have to confirm this once I get them. The brakes are just okay, which was surprising. I expected far better. A disc brake for both front and rear tire. They get the job done, but to be honest, they should have put better brakes. If you are new in the game and just go out and rip it and get an emergency, you will get fucked. The best brakes I have experienced so far, by far, is the Beth's 200cc rear brakes, followed closely by the NK250, then the Taro GPs, only because the Taro GPs are far too sharp. This is such a heavy bike, I really wish it wasn't. That way it would have a much better power to weight ratio with its 45 horsepower. It would have been pretty more amazing, but whatever, we'll just deal with this. It's still fine for now. Sitting at 1.2 meters, the bike is relatively tall, but perfect for me. As you can see, I'm 6 foot and my feet are actually flat on the ground. And I'm actually sitting on the higher side of the seat, at the pillion side. I can even move much farther and my knees have a bit of wiggle room. Another thing is the ground clearance. I can't lie, this one was quite disappointing. It's actually worse than the Haojin Warriors. I scratched some tiny rocks. I was pretty surprised. I wish it was better, but we'll just have to do with this one. Everything else is perfect aside from that. The bike has an electric starter, which is awesome, but unfortunately, no kickstarter, which me no like. I have tried switching on the bike as it rolls, and you need quite a bit of speed. Those gears are no pushover. Speaking of gears, this one is a 5-speed, which again, a surprise. Lots of surprises with this one. First is relatively shorter, getting me to 45 kilometers, forcing the demand for second, which you can get to 100 kilometers per hour, and third will get you to 130, which I honestly don't like doing, so I only tried it once. Engaging the gear is pretty smooth, thank God. There's a clanking sound when you engage the gear, which is par for the course with these bikes, but super smooth to engage, especially the neutral, which is located between 1 and gear 2, which again was pretty surprisingly and pretty nice. The bike sounds amazing, especially with this one. They had the mufflers removed. It's the best thing in the world. Very good for making people shit their pants if they don't notice the obnoxiously loud pull that you just did as you approach them. It's so loud that if you rev this thing up so heavy, if you rev this thing up in front of people, it's enough to make them shit their pants if they didn't hear you approaching. Let's listen. It's equal
aggressive.
The looks, at first I wasn't really a fan, but it didn't really bother me because it literally is everything that I required. But it actually grew on me. I'm actually liking it this time. A perfect replacement for my 200cc monstrosity, the Xt660R. Perfect for the roads that I commute on a daily basis. Even though I won't be wheeling as much, it's still a super fun bike to ride. A final race for the Warrior with its mightiest opponent yet. A total and complete distraction to show absolute respect and a farewell for the amazing journey it has brought us through.
Hii bike inaweka vibaya sana. Ama ni karibu sana hapa. Hata haijalishi. Haijalishi. Unadhani unaweza sana tatu? Acha yapite. Unaweza tatu? Tatu. Hakika? Aha. Siamini. Siamini kabisa bwana. Sina brakes eh.
Now, this bike has another massive problem. So big that I would normally never consider owning one. Maintenance cost and fuel consumption. The bike has a 15.5 liter tank, officially 15 liters. So far I've rated this bike at 12 kilometers per liter. Sure, this is fast riding, which is the reason that you buy this bike for. Otherwise, if you want to ride slow, just remain with the Warrior. It's absolutely perfect. But 12 kilometers per liter is car territory. Apparently, every review online that I see says around 19 to 23 kilometers per liter. But again, that is hypermiling. I don't do that with any bike. I buy bikes to ride fast. So I guess it's a problem that I'm creating, but whatever. From Nairobi to Nakuru, not a single car that I found on my way saw me again, and that includes Prados. Am I proud of myself for that? Absolutely. Does that mean that it's worth the fuel? I'm kind of torn with that, but to be honest, 12 kilometers per liter is relatively manageable. Value for money maybe? No, because if a small car can get you that and you can only buy one or the other, go for the car. Even 1500 cc's can give you better mileage, far better value for money. Maintenance cost is quite high and the spare parts are quite expensive. Like the tires, this will set you back 17,000 each. The Xt660 Warriors are 4,500 if not 3,500 each. That's 5 times cheaper than this, and that equation will apply to almost everything. Some will be even more ridiculous. And to add cherry on top, they are for the most part non-existent in this country. You have to import, which will take time, and mechanics are pretty rare and expensive as well. That's the reality of these machines. Always buy second-hand. These things are ridiculously expensive, and you get far better value for money from used ones. Just make sure that you get a good mechanic like my cousin here. He inspected the NK250 and this one and was satisfied. And also another one that he discouraged me from buying. So don't go with just how the bike feels on the first ride. That is very important. If you don't want to regret your entire life and you think that all my opinions are trash, at least hit this one. The bike doesn't like to be ridden slowly as is with most of these big bikes. it gets pretty hot and you can feel it on your legs and sometimes even smell it. The steering will get pretty hard when the tire pressure is low, like really hard. The funny thing about these tires is you won't be able to see that they are flat even while carrying a pillion. The imbalance that you get while riding is what will let you know that the tire pressure is low. The bike also surprisingly stalls, which I didn't expect from something so powerful. So you have to be in the right gear all the time or actually be very good at balancing the clutch, something that was completely absent in the NK250. The bike can only engine brake in gear 1, which really sucks. I think that's because the idling is too high. I'm not very sure about that. Stay safe, ride safe.